It's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness!
In the whole Halloween series, Halloween 2 is the only sequel that seems like it had a purpose of being made. The first one ended on a cliffhanger with Michael Myers on the loose. You can just hold that in your mind, that unresolved feeling that he's still out there. Or if you want closure to the story and you want to see what happens next, then you can watch Halloween 2. It's nice to have that closure, but it also sort of demystifies the first movie. Out of all the sequels, it's definitely the most closely connected with the original. John Carpenter returns as the writer, and all the characters that lived through the first movie are still here. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence naturally slip right back into their respective roles. The biggest connection with the first movie is that it still takes place on the same night. It literally picks up right where it left off. Dr. Loomis is running around trying to find Michael Myers again, knowing that he's dealing with a bulletproof killer whose essence is that of pure evil.
No man can take 6 slugs.
I tell you, this isn't a man.
Laurie Strode has been taken to a hospital after her traumatic experience. Michael's going around stalking and killing random people until it's revealed that Laurie was adopted by the Strode family and that she is really the second sister of Michael Myers. He killed his first sister in the beginning of the first movie, so now he's trying to finish the job and kill Laurie too.
That's Michael Myers' sister.
Again, it may have demystified some of the motives behind him. I think usually the least you know about Michael Myers, the better, but it is a sequel, so they needed to come up with some new kind of twists. Michael Myers kills people in new ways by shoving someone's face into boiling hot water and jamming a needle into someone's head. It makes you cringe and reminds you how the first movie didn't really need to show much of the murders. This is the beginning of a long tradition where each film has to try to up the ante. One part I have mixed feelings about is when Loomis finds a trick-or-treater who happens to be wearing the same Michael Myers costume. I like the idea that it acknowledges that this is Halloween night and there's a lot of people walking around dressed up, so that gives a reason why Michael Myers can be so difficult to spot. But Michael's costume was so unique. In the first movie, he stole the mask from a store and he took the boiler suit from a worker who he killed on the side of the street. It makes sense that some other random person could have found the same mask, but how did they come up with the idea to wear the same boiler suit? He couldn't have been imitating Michael Myers on purpose because there's no way he could have known yet. This is still the first night. The one thing I love about this scene that I find hysterical is when the police car hits him, rams him into a van, and explodes. It comes out of nowhere. The guy was just walking across the street. I thought the cop did it on purpose, deciding to take a chance on this innocent person in case it was really Michael, which I thought was dark and humorous. But the cop comments that he didn't see him.
He came out of nowhere.
What a fucking idiot. So what if the guy wasn't in the street? Would he have just crashed into the van? I also like this guy. He's funny.
Every other word you say is either hell or shit or damn.
Sorry. I guess I just fuck up all the time.
In the last act, Michael chases Laurie through the hospital. It's not as good as the first chase. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'll try to explain the best I can. I guess because it follows many of the same routines, like when Laurie bangs on the door for someone to let her in, and Michael slowly comes toward her. In the first movie, the fact that Michael takes his time is legitimately creepy, but now it feels like something's off. It feels like he should just hurry up if he wants to kill her. I know that would defy the rules if he ran, but it's a tricky subject. It goes all the way back to the Universal Mummy sequels in the 40s, when the mummy Karras would always follow people while literally dragging his feet. The mummy moves so slow, but somehow always manages to catch up to its victims. Since then, slow-moving killers have been common, like the zombies from Night of the Living Dead and subsequent slasher villains like Jason Voorhees. They tried to counteract this by raising the stakes. Laurie can't move as fast because of the injuries she took. They also changed the setting from a neighborhood to a hospital. I'm not sure if that helped any. I think it makes it less scary. Because we see Michael more often than we should. He's out in the open, walking down long hallways. It also seems like a hospital is a place where she should have been more safe. It doesn't have a solitary feeling like before. It's something about the setting and the pacing that made the first movie more frightening. The final showdown repeats the same formula with Loomis coming to the rescue. Except things take an unexpected turn. Michael stabs Loomis with a scalpel. Laurie shoots out Michael's eyes, blinding him. He comically swings the scalpel all over the place. He keeps swinging and swinging. This is the only part of the movie which I think is embarrassingly awful. Loomis turns on a gas valve and sacrifices himself by blowing the place up. We see Michael walking around on fire, which again brings to mind The Thing. But Michael doesn't get much further. The fire takes its toll and he burns to a crisp. The first time in his career that he's been indisputably dead. It's a good sequel, just not as good as the first. It looks like they tried. They really tried, but it proved to be impossible to catch the same creative lightning twice. John Carpenter left the series and moved on to other projects, which were much better choices. Now, let's talk about Halloween 3. You understand, with Monster Madness, I do one review a day till the end of the month. But we don't have that many days left, so my first instinct was to drop Halloween 3 altogether because it's not really part of the same series. It was meant to take Halloween in a new direction as an anthology series with a different Halloween story each time. But everyone was confused why it had no connection with the previous films other than the parts where you see the original Halloween playing on the TVs. This movie was so hated and misunderstood that I included it in a video I made called Top 10 Sequels That Aren't As Bad As Everyone Says. I might as well just use the same clip, so if you haven't seen it before, you can see it now. Check it out. Tomorrow, we move on to Part 4. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I have not once ever heard anyone criticize this movie without focusing their entire criticism on the fact that Michael Myers is not in it. I'm surprised no one complains about Season of the Witch. There's no witches in the movie. Let me start off by saying the Halloween series should have ended right after 2. The last we see of Michael, he's a burning corpse. That's deader than he's ever been in the whole series. That should have been sequel-proof. So, they decide to take the series in a different direction and make it an anthology series, each with a different Halloween-themed story. Imagine all the things that could happen on Halloween. I think it would have been far more interesting if they continued in this direction instead of rehashing the same Michael Myers story over and over again. Yeah, looking back, with all the sequels that have come after it, it doesn't make sense to call it Halloween 3 anymore, especially when they stopped numbering the sequels after 5 anyway. And it's even more confusing for most people that the first 2 movies had Michael Myers. They both took place the same night and are very much like a two-parter. So the third movie sticks out like a sore thumb. So forget that it's a sequel to Halloween because it really isn't, and don't think of it as a slasher movie because it's not. It's about an evil mastermind who wants to return Halloween to its sacrificial origins.
The Festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago and the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children.
This is a guy who celebrates Halloween hardcore. The synthesizer music is really creepy and gives the movie its haunting atmosphere. The death scenes are really grotesque. Tell me this movie doesn't have balls. It shows kids getting killed. It uses Halloween as a consumer device, a corporate giant that literally devours all the children. It's a different kind of Halloween movie that should be appreciated in its own right.